a victory. I want to point out before we head into this drive, the bans are going to come through. We had an early Meepo ban again. Both of these teams have played well regardless, Kevin.
Yeah, they absolutely
already. And have perhaps exceeded expectations in the group stages, do you feel?
Yeah, easily. Even that last game where TNC looked like they were kind of getting dumpstered the whole time, they still made it pretty close in a lot of those fights. That was pretty impressive. So they, I think they responded correctly, or at least an interesting way to what DC was doing. Like I said, like I ranted about for 20 minutes, the Legion opening with the Warlock dual lane off lane was really effective. I think it's interesting they banned Warlock rather than the Legion, but it did let the Monkey King through.
Potentially because they won it themselves?
The Legion? Yeah, it's possible. Or maybe it's like, I was thinking about this as well. It's like, what if the Legion got through, but the Warlock got picked by TNC? Would they? What's the replacement? They might replace it, but they don't necessarily have to. But they could.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an Earth Spirit. Maybe it's a Ogre Magi. Probably not. But there could be something like that makes their dual offlane still really effective.
Okay, well they're not going to get the LC because Digital Chaos have it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last time TNC ended up banning the Monkey King, but I think because they had first pick this time, they were really interested in picking it up for themselves. Maybe they didn't feel the full effect of Earth Spirit as much last game, or maybe they don't have a lot of faith in the tree, which is something I thought I would be seeing in this series. Either way, it's just something that seemed to be able to sneak through.
For sure, that's one hero that was sort of just perma-banned in the other series. But Monkey King, what was it? Still at a 25% win rate or something?
Yeah, it's not great.
And still being first picked or first banned. It's kind of surprising to me. There's a lot of teams that will look at the percentages, the stats, and they will not touch those heroes anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because on day one, TNC did not pick Monkey King once. Not once.
It's like DAC all over again. Except every team was onto it at the tournament start. But I feel like Monkey King's pretty good against Legion, like team fight disable-wise late game. Like that's one benefit. Well, at least you stun them for a big duration.
About Legion, the more important thing is to look at the laning stage, right?
Yeah.
If the Legion does not have a good laning stage, then her mid-game, late game is going to become irrelevant in what she's capable of doing. So if Monkey King in this game can just sit in the lane, use his passive with Poor Man's Shield and zone him out, then it's already a very good pick against the Legion commander. And now they have an Axe, okay.
So Axe has kind of fallen off because of the Tranquil Boots nerf.
Right.
But maybe, how is he 1v1 versus Legion? Is there any potential for forcing 1v1s here? I feel like it could work.
Now with the Ricky pick, it's not exactly going to be great in laning, so you're going to have to you're wanting that Ricky to be roaming, right? So what do you do in this situation to get that Axe to give him that 1v1? What is TNC going to have to draft here, right, to give themselves the advantage to be able to do some sort of aggressive tri-lane here?
They just have to ensure that they have another strong support and a pretty good aggro tri-lane carry. Because I feel like Axe is not bad against Ricky at all. Like Ricky's HP is like 450 at level 1 or something terrible like that.
Yeah, but the concern is that when you pick Axe, you want the opportunity to at least go and jungle with him. But when you have a Ricky on the enemy team, he's just going to run after you, steal your experience, and maybe even kill a couple creeps. It's going to be extremely annoying. If the Axe falls behind, his dagger is slower, the tempo of TNC is slower, then that's exactly what DC
What
wants.
about the Monkey King trap? You just hide in a tree by where Axe is. Then when he steals a creep, you pop the dust, and that Ricky is dead. With an Orb of Venom, that could actually work. With Dust and Orb of Venom on Monkey King, you could easily kill him if he kills a creep near Axe, I feel. Maybe. That's going to be a little hard. If Axe is 2, definitely.
Yeah, they need to get at least a couple of those initial levels, both on Monkey King and Axe, to be able to make that work.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really like the Legion versus Axe matchup that
For
much.
Legion or Axe?
For the Axe.
Okay.
Legion, he has a Blade Mail. Some Blade Mail heroes are actually really good against Axe. If you just go on him, you can just pop Blade Mail, he does pure damage to you, you do it back, and then Legion has probably more HP than Axe does as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Dazzle.
With the fact that they banned out Ursa and Timbersaw, that just seems like the most obvious. We're planning to aggro tri-lane ever because those are the best, some of the best Axe 1v1 counters. And with the Dazzle pick as well, now they're going to do potentially Dazzle Axe dual lane aggro, kind of similar to what DC was doing last game.
Right, and they're probably thinking about how the Ricky was first phase, and we saw some of the other teams also think about going aggro against the Ricky, because if you do that, then the Ricky has to try and maybe help your tri-lane, and it takes the attention away from the other lanes. If you go safe lane, then the Ricky has opportunities to maybe screw with your jungler or go mid lane, put some pressure there. It's very confusing when you play a game like that.
And DC needed to grab a really strong tri-lane at this point because of that threat, so Vengeful Spirit Core It's good against Monkey King, swap outside of the range. It's pretty safe as a carry in the early laning stage, and Silencer on top of that is also okay. Not to mention the fact that Global Silence is going to really be good against Dazzle in select moments.
It's very important that they took the Silencer here to try and be able to out-teamfight the Dazzle.
It feels more like a out selectively gank to me. You know, like you could like blink, Blade Mail, duel somebody, cast Global Silence.
And exactly. And Axe won't be able to counter-initiate, or Dazzle won't be able to grave anyone. It's quite good.
Wow, I'm taking the Weaver.
It's kind of a difficult game for the Weaver, especially since he's playing against Silencer, Ricky, Legion Commander. All three heroes have some very powerful spells to be able to just lock down a Weaver.
The one good thing about it, though, is kind of what Mason did last game. It's pretty significantly just solo most of the game. If you get a little bit of space and you can just always push lanes and make it hard for your opponents to gank you, it makes it a lot more difficult for them to get tempo in the game, because you always have to TP somebody to defend the tower. And if you do try to gank him, it costs like 3 heroes or Global Silence or something like that. But like you guys said, there are really good disables on DC to deal with it.
This game, there is a Tinker available for TNC. Last game, a lot of the mids like Invoker, Lina, Tinker were all banned out, so Cuckoo couldn't really get a hero that he liked. But maybe this game, they might take it. The only issue is DC do have the last pick, but they need like a mid hero, unless Silencer's mid. So they have potential to like counter it with a Storm Spirit, perhaps. But I do like the idea of having Tinker for TNC right now. I don't think DC's heroes do well at all against it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
How is Abed's
Ember
Storm?
ban.
I haven't seen it a lot.
Good. It's one of his top 3 most played this year.
Oh, there you go. I just remember Mason is quite the Storm player himself. Sometimes
Templar, okay. This is a hero that has quite a high win rate right now
doing really well.
in the tournament. And Alchemist.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not too sure about the Alch, because Templar in the laning stage is quite good, and for DC, they're this team that like to play on high tempo, you know? They want to be able to pressure the enemy. If you have Alchemist, it's very hard to pressure the enemy in the way that they want to do it. You can pressure them through farm, but it's not the same.
What if they do like Alk safe lane, Silencer mid to counter the TA refraction?
That's actually
It's like one
really
of the best
good.
TA mid
Yeah.
matchup counters.
It's TA cannot lane against a Silencer mid.
But I'm not sure if they'll do that, but it's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
I have no idea who picked what. Someone want to flip a coin for me, or no? I'll pull this up once.
Conrad, we'll start with you.
I mean, personally, I think Digital Chaos, they've just been playing really well. I really like the momentum that they're bringing. I have a lot of faith in this Alk pick. We saw it a couple other games. We saw it, and I think for me, Digital Chaos is the one to go.
Okay.
It's going to come down to how they lane and do whatever, but if I was to just look at the draft, I would want to play TNC's lineup.
Okay.
To go with TNC.
All right. TNC for you.
I was going to pick DC, I think. I see a lot of friction coming from the Silencer, Global Silence, and I'm not sure that the Dazzle can make it work to keep everybody alive because of that. So,
okay.
I like DC's draft.
So DC for Purge at the end. So 2 for DC and 1 for TNC. Someone's got to be right as we head into game number 2. And if DC do pull it out, they will, of course, end the tournament with a positive record. It'll be 2-0 in their final game against TNC. Let's find out whether they can pull it off as we head back to our commentary team for game number 2.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Indeed, game 2 now coming up between the sides of DC, TNC. The draft is out. We're seeing the Alchemist. If you were watching the other stream, I believe you would have caught some OG games with it today. But DC bringing it forward in terms of the roles. You know, Arbed will be playing the Alch. You're going to see Mason on the carry Venge, Demon playing the support Silencer. Interesting stuff from DC and TNC themselves. They've got that classic minus armor strat, the Weaver, Dazzle, TA combination. What's the thoughts, Gods? Is this an out game?
Well, you know, I haven't seen Alk in a while. I've missed him. Haven't
Oh,
you?
I've missed him too. I've had nightmare dreams.
Dreams, yes.
Dreams of the yellow
Fantasies.
bugger. Oh, no. Nah,
Okay.
that's a different ogre. It's good old Shrek. But anyway, guys, we're into the game. DC had a very strong game 1. Do you think, is there a potential that we're going to see kind of the lanes, Arbed, have that sort of a start again in this matchup, or is it going to be a bit harder?
His team's going to try and put a lot of pressure on to help him because they're going aggro tri-lane. They've got all the boys going up top. Mason, Demon, and Dubu ready to try and do what they can up there, giving Bulba a 1v1. Legion versus Axe, something kind of theorycraft in the panel a bit. How's it going to go? 1437 wasn't really a big fan of how this matchup works for the Axe once like the blade mails and stuff come online against the spins, but will be tested a bit this game, and TNC are going to have to secure this top safe lane. They're going to need the Monkey King to head up there as soon as possible.
Ooh.
Yeah, Weaver's not going to have fun here.
Pretty sweet though. Mason actually I went for Magic Missile attempt, but Raven very quick with the Shikuchi to dodge it immediately. Tims will rotate across, and we'll see if they can do anything indeed to try and stop the aggression that's going to be coming out from DC with this lane decision.
Interesting he went for the tree dance. He actually held his point and then still went for the tree dance. I thought he might go for the Jingu and just try and trade hits a bit, but seems to want to catch him by surprise with a Primal Spring.
Demon could be in trouble there, jumping in. Demon will try for the TP out. Is he actually going to make it in time? He does. Demon just getting out. But at the same time, mid lane a bit of action as Cuckoo will force Arbeid back. Not quite enough damage to bring him down. But that goal on top, Demon, I can't believe he got out with that TP. He was surrounded by 3 of them. Very close.
Magic Missile saved his life. Really just that. If not for that Magic Missile, one more right click from Monkey King would have been enough damage. They would have got the kill. So I think DC decide with the Monkey King rocking up top, this lane is not going to work. TP to the bottom from Mason's Venge, and DC have decided to change their lanes.
Mid lane, CS-wise, at least between the two of them, very close. Bang on at the moment. Dubu, again with the rotation, still just at level 1. So we'll be just a little bit of right-click harassment onto Cuckoo, who will be quick to trade it back to Dubu and force the Riki back.
Yep. It's going to be a tough matchup for Alkin mid at the very early levels when that aggressive TA side blades comes out, but that Arbeid survived it. He's come out stronger on the other side. We'll get his bottle soon, start picking up some bounty runes. Things should be pretty fine for the Alchemist. Straight up 1v1 against TA from here on out. Problem is TA can kind of match the Alk's farm with ancient stacks and just doing everything that TA does. You actually don't really lose the farm battle for quite some time against the Alk. It's only once like the Radiance Manta comes online that the Alk really pulls ahead. Early stages TA can do pretty well just through her farming efficiency.
And Tubu to head down bottom and just have eyes on Sam H. Not really a lot that he can do against an Axe. And indeed, Demon and Mason, as you mentioned, sitting in this lane. Making sure that Mason gets the farm. But at the same time, this has got to be kind of good news for TNC, isn't it? They know that on this top lane now, they themselves, the Weaver is going to have a pretty fine old time. Bulba will find something, but he's unlikely to be able to press the Weaver out of the lane.
Something panel mentioned that you can do with the Monkey is just use him to zone the Legion as much as possible, but no level 2, no Jingu. Makes it a little bit trickier to do just that, but Dazzle wants to pair up with this Axe, offers him some support, help him have a better lane, has been stacking his neutral camps even a little bit, so there's some good farm for Sam H to work with here to ensure that he gets a pretty good time on his Blink Dagger. Another almost kill mid. Cuckoo got pretty aggressive there once again, and we are starting to see Arbeid struggle to maintain his HP in this mid lane.
Yeah, he's got to head back to base with the shrine already used, and bottle gold not quite there for him. Bottom lane, Sam H now with the backup of Rio, who's come across on the Dazzle. We'll get the crit D-ward, maintain control of this lane so they can have eyes on Dubu's movement. It will remain down here at the moment. Keeping eyes on the attempt to pull through and will interrupt it. Bulba shrining up on the top lane, but again, Tims with his positioning, making sure that he keeps tabs on the movement, and sneaky Monkey gets himself the bounty rune steal.
Yep. A little bit annoying, but ultimately Tims, I feel, is not really completely shut down in this Legion by any means. Bulba's still got his levels, got some farm. He's handling himself all right here, so probably see Monkey King after maybe another minute or two, just leave Raven alone to solo. And go from there, look to maybe set up some kills in this mid lane around Cuckoo hitting level 6 once the traps come into play. If he can hit, he is going to hit 6 before Alchemist. There is a timing where you can play for the kills.
Bottom lane, we saw DC think about making a go onto the Axe, but they have to be careful with Rio there. They know that they can't kill Sam H with Rio being there with potential backup.
Interesting to see, no points in the call, went for a very early Battle Hunger with 2 points in spin at level 3 on Sam H. Just tries to trade hits, go run in. He knows he's got a salve, he's got some good HP regen to back this up and the Dazzle to protect him, but doesn't find a kill, and both him and the Avenge will both salve up and be back to full HP. So kind of negating the harass that went down.
Looking at the CS as well at this stage, it's both cores of TNC at the top.
Yep.
Raven and Cuckoo hitting that 30 CS mark. And indeed, the biggest disparity being the difference between Raven and Mason.
Alk CS is also a little bit inflated. Some of that is neutrals, not really from like the medium camp as well, so perhaps not totally accurate. Nice Radiant scan will find Monkey King. He swings spin. This is what I talked about. TA can hit level 6 before Alk, and not quite there yet, but he's very close. I think this wave will be the level 6, and with the Psionic Traps and the Monkey King rotation, you can find a kill on the mid Alk. Annoying stuff from Dubu. We'll just leech this XP. Hey, will he find a kill?
I mean, Sam-H is falling very, very low here. It'll drop the smoke screen.
Yeah.
Dubu himself has to be careful here.
That was a misplay
I mean,
from Dubu.
it looks like he will survive as Sam a little slow with the call there. And Dubu will be out of range of any sort of vision that they have. At the same time, down bottom, Tim's nearly finding himself a curry. In fact, with the jump forward, has he got the spring? No, it looks like that. Still unavailable. Yeah, he couldn't jump down in range to pick it off. But TNC getting aggression, and Dubu, yeah, maybe just overestimating the potential he had with that Ricky. As he is still just level 2.
Yeah, not really a whole lot of damage onto the axe there to really kill him off with, and lucky to perhaps survive that one, but ultimately gets the XP and gets away with it, so the end result is actually pretty decent for him. But still perhaps concerns over Abed being pressured right now. Still not level 6 TA, free farming. DD rune, this is a dangerous rune. You can either farm with it, or you can just look for some kills.
Top lane, a bit of a whiff there from Raven. Will miss the bugs, and maybe with those bugs connecting, they could have chased Bulba down. So TNC won't get the kill that they were potentially hoping for with Tim's making the movement up towards that top tier 1.
Absolutely. Bob will head back, shrine up, and probably return to lane. But yeah, laning stage going very well for TNC. The free farm on TA, the Weaver, off lane on the Axe, you're farming neutrals and the lane. So all in all, very good start for the Filipino side.
Yeah, a very, very different opening in comparison to what we saw in game 1 from the team.
Cuckoo's coming into the jungle here.
As the set up on the bottom, onto Sam-H, the smoke screen as well, trying to prolong the potential Berserker's call. And Sam-H will just simply look to get out of there. And he will just survive. Again, this combination, very hard to bring down with Rio there. Very good with the backup and the sustain to make sure that Sam's able to walk home safely.
At the mid lane, the TA stole the Alk's double stack at the big camp, so a lot of Alk's farm that he'd been saving up for himself was denied. That was a great use of the DD rune. He invaded the Alk as he's trying to farm it. He takes the camps.
And bottom lane, look at this. TNC getting aggressive. Mason, he's going to be bashed up here. Tims gets the Jinju built up. The Battle Hunger should end up finishing off Mason, I believe. Dubu goes down. Mason indeed does fall to the damage over time from Sam-H. And TNC getting aggressive on the bottom and punishing DC.
Yep.
2-0, 8 minutes in. And yeah, it's just the question of what do Digital Chaos do to deal with this succession of just a constant aggression on lane after lane from TNC.
Yeah, you have a terrible laning stage where let's say you lose 3 lanes, perhaps bottom lane, you could argue. I mean, Venge's out farming Axe, so there is a CS advantage going DC's way, but you've got to make a smoke move, and that's going to come from... Venge is really the hero with the stun, so it's your safe lane farmer, but it actually is the hero that needs to get involved in smoke ganks.
Yeah, and he is up to the top lane.
If you want to find something, and...
Looking for Raven, and quick with
reaction,
the Shakuchi,
yeah.
very apparent. I believe as soon as he saw the Legion move away from the creep wave, he knew that something was up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he saw the Venge or not, but it looked like it was perhaps even just the Legion doing it, and at that point, he knows the way he dies is if there's a smoke screen into like a jewel, a Venge even pops out with a stun, that's how he can get picked off, so Raven, very heads-up play.
I mean, DC, with this amount of stuns, they could dive it if they see the opportunity to.
Not really the optimal place to be against the Iron Talon that can chop his way through those trees.
Look how deep Cuckoo's going. And with the slow and the fact that Tim's has jumped across as well, Arbed in a lot of trouble. The Chemical Rage regen not enough to keep him alive. And TNC diving in for that kill. And just reading the map, knowing that the backup's unlikely to come because DC were looking to put pressure on Raven up top.
Yep. They also, I think, have recognized that Demon is alone at this bottom lane, so Sam-H should play hyper-aggressive. With level 6, he can perhaps easily get a solo kill, or at least put some good pressure on this tower. So things across the board looking very good for TNC here. Alchemist really needs to find some... It's less about finding farm and just saying, okay, guys, I'm just going to farm my Radiance. It's more about his team actually creating that space to allow him to farm. And problem is, you haven't got level 6 on Silencer. It's just going to hit it now. So Global perhaps gives them an extra tool to try and make some ganks with. But yeah, it's going to be tough.
On top lane, Raven. We'll play around with Mason, who immediately goes for the TP as he sees any sort of chance of the turnaround coming in. Mid lane, Cuckoo bringing Dubu down low. No detection on him himself. Sam H actually has an Invis rune. And he's looking for Arbed. He'd have to get very lucky with the spins to do it on his own.
He may just call
If
the
TA's
TA
here,
in. Yeah, there's no tower, so
Yeah.
he doesn't see the TA coming.
They don't have the vision. So
Oh,
Cuckoo can come across, but okay.
Abed's not. It's not that he knows the gank's coming. He actually just wanted to farm mid lane.
Yeah. He's like, ooh, creeps it. But yeah, a little bit easier than the neutrals. But Cuckoo will clean them up. Dubu's now come across as well. They don't know that Samich is there. There's the opening with the Berserker's Call. He needs some sort of a backup. But it's TNC that have their own with Tim's coming in with a boundless strike. They'll bring down Arbed.
They're going to find Dubu as well. I think they got
Oh, yeah,
the
they got the
dust.
dust. He will have the blink to the demon. That will keep him alive. But these kills onto the Alchemist is exactly what TNC need to be doing. Something that they struggled to do in Game 1 against Arbed's SF, but they're having a much easier time doing so far. And Tim's on the Monkey King, just having a much better start than he did on the Earth Spirit in Game 1.
And this is the ideal way to be playing against Alk. Contesting his farm, contesting his jungle early on. Even if you're winning 2 of the 3 lanes, like if you're dominating top, bottom, but not stopping the Alk from farming, you're not really you're not really winning the game. I mean, you're going to be
On
in for a
bottom
close
lane,
one.
Mason's just a freebie here for the side of TNC. Tim's again TPing down, jumping forward, allowing Sam H to close the gap.
And they're looking for kind of Raven, pseudo looking for him at the top lane, but don't really feel like their heart's in this one. Bulb was probably just more keen on farming the lane, trying to get his Blink Dagger up. And until they've got that Blink, it's hard to make these moves. They're relying on smoke. Like earlier, it was smoking with Avenge as a core hero to try and initiate with phase boost. So the Blink Dagger is not going to come all that fast. So it really feels like DC, they're down, they're losing the lanes, they're getting out farmed, they're getting constantly roamed on, and there's not a whole lot of easy plays to make to stop that from happening. They're going to keep on trying to commit to this top lane, but this is the beauty of this Weaver pick, is I can see in the safe lane alone, and it's pretty resilient. It's very hard to gank.
Rio's there as well with backup if Raven does get dove upon. They do have the global silence though, as you mentioned. We yet really see that come into play. This pickoff could be where it does so if they can find a way to go in. But DC, they moved 5 members up here, and already they're starting to send 2 back home. It just feels like a waste of time.
It gets dewarded immediately, but that still reveals what's going on. So, I mean, it kind of confirms their suspicion. They used to scan and observe a ward and had the dazzle up top. So they kind of know what's going on up top. Raven shows it. He was farming with Shikuchi. He wasn't even trying to right-click to farm. He would just Shikuchi, time the damage, get the last hit, then run away. So TNC fully aware that DC, their comeback play is to try and find a kill up top, try and use perhaps a duel into global silence, into whatever it may be, and get a kill. And, well, they're there. They're anticipated. They may lose a ward and it gets dewarded, but ultimately they don't give up any kills, and that's the big thing.
It's at this stage of the game just such a huge difference between the Alchemist and the TA. TA with double the CS at the out. He's about 2,500 net worth ahead. Cuckoo in a very strong position, and Arbed, he's weak and he needs protection. There will be a silencer trying to come through and do something to hold them off, but there's very little Demon can. As they lose Arbed again, there'll be a swap back from Mason. They do catch Cuckoo with the global and the duel. They'll find themselves a very big kill in return, DC. Bringing down Cuckoo, who was miles ahead of everyone else so far this game, but they're still losing Arbed. They need to find that space for Arbed.
Yep. A little bit far, they just kind of have their eyes glistening. You see an Alk and you know you can kill him and you think, all right, let's just go for this. But killing an Alk and losing a TA, I mean, if the heroes are both farming well, like that's fine. But when your TA is miles ahead of the Alk, you've already shut him down. It's not really worth it in that scenario for TNC. And an immediate smoke. Unfortunately for DC, they do this under a ward, so TNC not going to be caught out by this one would presume.
They will deny the tower. Bulbert very close to the blink pickup himself.
I mean, TNC have so many options now. They can group up, play as 5, smoke themselves, take Roshan. They've got the Deso on TA.
They could actually, yeah. This could catch DC off guard. DC are still smoked. It depends if they want to just go for that check around the pit. They don't have the global silence.
Both teams ward it. The Sentry sees the Dire ward, but doesn't...
I think, is Duba going to check it? Oh, Cuckoo. Oh, he actually heads out because, yeah, they just take the pick first.
Take the pick and continue. You can continue Roshan. You've denied a lot of the vision. just play around the refraction. The swoop in from Sam H, this is such a dangerous
Yeah, with this
position.
Blink Dagger, this could catch them massively off guard. He gets it onto the silencer. Tim's comes in with a Wukong's command. That's going to be one dunk. They'll look for the chase down onto Mason. Moving forward with Raven on the Weaver, looking to take another. The heal from Bulba, not to be enough as DC lose a second. And TNC again, they secure that area around Roshan, get 2 big kills, pick up the Rosh, put the Aegis into the hands of Cuckoo, and still maintain this lead in this game.
Very well controlled. Like that area around that Radiant secret shop, they had eyes from the Monkey King on the tree vision. They had the axe swooping around. They had the observer wards being planted as well. They made sure they had vision all over that area to see DC coming in, and then even controlled it even further by dropping down the Wukong's command. Like, try and walk past this Wukong's command to get to Roshan. Well, they're not even going to win the fight through the Wukong's command. So TNC not only get Roshan, but they find the extra kills as well.
Bottom lane. Tim's messing around with the bounty rune.
It was scouted and still is being scouted by Dubu's Ricky. But no Quelling Blade or anything for Dubu. He can't really chop down those trees easily and doesn't have backup, so even if he does, isn't going to be able to kill off the Monkey Man. But likely we see TNC with Aegis in hand for Cuckoo's TA just start taking tower after tower. Nothing really to stop the TA at this point. And Blinked Deso means not only are you threatening towers, but any heroes that come near to defend. Heroes like Silencer will just get blinked on, melded, and get 2-3-shotted. Alchemist will have issues as well, like his armor kind of suffers a little bit at this point. Has got the +4 armor now with the talent and the extra armor from the armor, so that helps things a little bit against the TA for sure.
Bottom lane, TNC should take this tier 2 very quickly with Cuckoo's Desolator, and it looks like DC are just focused on trying to find something in trade. 5 members in the jungle, Tim's still keeping himself safe upon the tree line. The rest of TNC back behind the tier 1 tower.
They're pretending to be pushing bottom lane, but they've already put themselves in a position to defend top and catch DC by surprise. Sam H is just waiting for someone to push this tower, and he's ready to jump. And they've got the ward there as well. This is a great place to fight for TNC.
Sam H with the jump forward, looking for Mason. Turns with a magic missile. DC, they do decide to go in on this fight. They pop the global silence. Bulba's there, in with the jewel. Sam H is down. They'll get themselves one clean kill, but TNC, they're ready to fight back. Raven chucks down the Bulba, goes for the TP out with the boundless strike there to cancel it. Will cost him his life, almost certainly. They're even jumping past him for more. They say, mate, well, Raven, you finish off Bulba. Will manage to pick up a second as they get Dubu on the Ricky. And meanwhile, bottom lane, Cuckoo, he's soloing a tier 3, opening up the racks on the bottom.
Wow.
And TNC are just getting so much done. He jumps in, one shot, and Demon's down to less than half health. And TNC are just getting so much done in these early stages of the game, and DC seem unable to stop it.
Yeah, it's completely snowballed out of control. Cuckoo able to do all that on his own. Sam H blinks in. Probably knows that if he misses that initial blink call, he's very likely dead. If he gets hit by a stun global silence, he's going to die, but he dies for the greater good. Once that global silence is down, Weaver can freely chase, Monkey King can freely chase. You've got these 2 great chasing heroes, even though Monkey King's just a support. He's got decent enough damage output with the phase boots, the medallion, and he
He's
complements
nearly
the
got
Weaver
Solar
well.
Crest as well.
Yeah, there was no real getting away for DC for everyone. You can go for like 3-4-man TP out, but 1 or 2 heroes are going to get hit by the Boundless Strike, and they're done for, and it's exactly what happens. And Shrines are now open for business as Cuckoo takes a tier 3, takes a Shrine. He's playing just off by himself, but why not? You're TA with 11k net worth, you're miles ahead of the Alk. Not many heroes that can kill you once, let alone twice, and, well, that's going to be, yeah, just pretty straightforward stuff for him. Mason's gone back for a Midas on Venge. This is just one of those, you look at this game and you're like, well, the only way DC wins this game is if they somehow turtle out and it goes for super long. There's no item for Venge, which is going to help you right now. Like, you're not farming well, so you may as well get an item that helps you farm, and you just hope that you win one fight and then suddenly you drag the game out for another 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So while this game could end in the next 5 minutes, and it's like, well, the game ended in 5 minutes, why do you go Midas? The only way they win is if this game goes 20, 30 more minutes. So he's playing to their win condition, as small of a win condition as that is.
TNC with the smoke up, ready to go for big plays. They'll spot the courier. They will be tempted, and they do take it out.
Yep.
That will mean the rest of DC are able to react to this and start to back away. Samich may still get the call on Mason, and indeed he does. Jumps down, grabs the Venge, and the amount of physical just bursting Mason down low. He does swap himself back up to the high ground, but Cuckoo, he jumps forward, will be held back momentarily by the magic missile from Mason, which will keep Venge alive. So TNC won't find the kill. Global Silence still available. DC, can they do anything to stop this push though on the tier 2? And it doesn't look like they can. They'll have to let the tower go.
Not a tower you bother defending. I'll let it go. And TNC losing Aegis now will probably just focus their efforts on the Shrine in that last outer tower. Knowing that's unlikely DC make a full commitment to defend. DC don't want to fight. Like, you get this, you're not getting this minus on Venge to try and take a 5v5 fight. You might theoretically go for a smoke into a, like, try and find a pick-off using your silences, but there's no way in hell you want a 5v5. You've got an Alk trying to get a Radiance. You've got a Venge with a Midas. You are looking to drag this game for as long as humanly possible without engaging into TNC. One lost fight and you lose a Rax and most likely the game. So TNC, the best thing you can do, take whatever towers are easy to pick off, force your opponents to stop farming and come back and defend their high ground. So they'll probably take this tier 2 top and even like threaten to chip at the tier 3 top just to kind of keep DC honest, make sure they come back and keep having to defend things.
Yeah, Bulba pressuring out bottom, but again, this initiation, Samich with the jump, catches Bulba initially. Dubu is there in the neighborhood. They'll actually throw the dust out, so they know where Dubu is. The meld strike into the dunk from TNC to cut down Bulba, and they're ready to look for more. With the dust still on Dubu, who's caught in amongst the creeps, taken down as well. It's a second for TNC. And mid lane, the blood is not ended up spilling as they look for Arbed as well. Wukong's command, the physical damage is too much at this stage of the game, and TNC just seem to be running away with this game too. 14 for 2 at the moment. Alk absolutely not in the position that he needed to be. He's still 2k behind the Weaver, about 5,000 net worth behind this TA at this stage of the game. Cuckoo has just had an absolute star game. A bit of vice versa. Game 1, we saw Arbed have an amazing mid performance. This time, absolutely turned on its head, and Cuckoo is the star of the show.
Pretty bold pick, the Alchemist, into the TA, and they picked it after the TA was picked, and we're seeing it get punished here. It really is a tough lane matchup. Oh, I mean, Alk has a lot of tough lane matchups. He just doesn't care that he loses the lane as long as he farms, but the great thing that Cuckoo did this game was he went in. Not only did he contest Alk jungling, but he stole the Alk's jungle. With that 2-minute long respawn time on these neutral camps, he just comes in, he takes some camps. If Alk stacks, he takes the double stack. TA, one of the better heroes, obviously, perhaps one of the best mids to farm actual neutral or ancient stacks, just punished the Alk and took away his farm while killing him on numerous occasions. So TNC have played this beautifully as far as shutting down an Alchemist, and the side lanes just didn't put enough pressure on. DC started with an aggro tri-lane, but very quickly that fell apart. They TP'd Mason down bottom. It really felt like they had this idea of pressuring the lanes to create space for Alk, but once that backfired, there was no like plan B. There was nothing to really fall back on because they didn't have like great mid-game kind of smoke rotation heroes.
Well, Dubu coming out. There's no detection down at the moment around this area, so he will safely be able to scout some of the movements of TNC out. Knows where Samh's positioning is. And TNC definitely sticking around, wanting to fight.
Nice.
But DC do know.
Yeah, gets down the observer ward, so they see everything here.
Yeah.
TNC may not realize they're being scattered, but at the same time, DC see everything. They're probably thinking like, let's not fight this one.
They know Dubu's around. Again, they don't have the vision that deep though. So Dubu's still safe for the time being. TNC just pressuring onto towers. They don't care about getting kills as long as they're getting these objectives
Definitely
consistently.
time to get a gem, you know, stuff like that happens. It's not even about finding the Riki, it's about finding the wards just as much. But also, once Riki sees the gem, he can't just do what he just did. He just went out, he scouted 5 heroes by himself. This allowed like heroes to farm bottom. It allowed Mason as well as Arbed to get into the jungle. Arbed's just going to pick up, like, what, a couple bounty runes. He gets an illusion rune now. He's going to finish his Radiance just because of the Riki scouting all that out. Problem is, Arbed's now walked through the river, and Cuckoo has found it.
He goes for the TP out.
Oh,
the neutral creeps the Centaur.
What?
Doing it. But he
Why did it stop?
Well, he popped the illusion rune, didn't he? He had the illusionary, I believe.
I thought the illusion was... Oh, they're going to GG. I thought the illusion was at the... oh, yeah, he had one illusion, and he He killed it instantly, but yeah,
the presence of the illusion, he killed
his
himself.
own illusion killed himself. Yeah.
Oh,
I love that. That's like the most anticlimactic ending, but it's pretty fitting, you know.
That's where you call GG.
Out gets caught out. Like he's making a bold move. He has nowhere to farm. He can't farm his side of the map. He's just gonna go on a walkabout, go to the enemy side of the map, try to find some farm, and Weaver. I mean, the TA once again. That's been the story of this game. TA finding the Alk, stealing his farm, killing him over and over again. I mean, Cuckoo. Good stuff from his TA, really knowing how to play against an Alk.
And just, a really rough game from Arbed. I mean, I guess part of that could be pointed towards the fact that this is Alchemist. This is a hero that has been nerfed and is definitely not in the place that it was before, but Arbed just really struggled to get off the ground. Like, did he end up finishing it? He didn't even end up finishing the Radiance.
I think was just about to get the gold for it when he died there at the end.
When he died to his illusion.
It's one of those heroes where I feel like you can never look at Alk and be like, oh, that was a well-played Alk or that was a poorly played Alk. It's a hero that shines when the team creates space for it and drafts yourself in lanes in such a way that the hero farms and does well. Yeah. And the good Alk games, so the good Alk games, it's like when you've got a good draft, you're pressuring the lanes, or the enemy can't do anything. The bad Alk games is this, it's where the team fail at creating space or fail at pressuring the side lane.
And not necessarily just DC failing in certain aspects, but just TNC playing really well in this game too. You know, Tim's rotations on the Monkey King, on point, 309, in the right place at the right time. Cuckoo's farm off the charts, you know. Just 5k, being 6,000 ahead of an Alchemist 20 minutes into a game. You couldn't hope for anything better. Yeah. I don't think we saw that at all when Alchemist was in the place he was before, but now the potential is there to deal with him, and he's just not the hero he once was.
And then they just made sure they closed the game out fast, didn't give Alk a chance to go late game. So, yeah, good stuff. Absolutely.
Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We will be going to Game 3. Exciting stuff indeed. Sort of an early GG, but understandable as TNC pulled out the big guns here in Game 2.
Yes, they did indeed. TNC then wrapping things up very quickly in game number 2. It's a game to forget if you're a DC fan and if you're a DC player indeed. We're back with our panel members. Kevin, not much you can really say about that for DC other than they've got it over with quickly.
Was that pre-20?
25.
No.
It was 25.
26 minutes.
I don't know if my prediction's been correct yet.
15,
that was the
20
best
minutes and 50, I think, is the fastest game we've had so far.
Damn it. Yeah, that would have been the good thing to come out of that game. Lost my prediction. Could have gotten my other prediction right. But, yeah, they just were really underfarmed. Their first couple skirmishes in the aggro try went okay, but then they lane swapped, and then the mid went awful. He had to walk all the way back to base. That almost never happens lately. It's definitely a tough game.
Yeah. And anything they could have done differently, do you think, Steven, in there?
Well,
or?
The moment they picked the Alchemist, they sort of like just cornered themselves in every possible way. If you look at the draft, they picked Venge before the Alk, and Venge is a hero who needs a lot of help to begin with. She can't just stay in a lane and you can leave her and she's going to win or something. If there's multiple heroes in her lane, she's going to lose. They expected TNC to go aggro against them. We talked about this pre-game, and that's why they went aggro themselves to try and dodge it, but that didn't happen. So now the Venge had to go back bottom, and then all the supports had to be dragged with them. And Alk is already having a bad lane. They picked Alk into the Templar Assassin. This hero will destroy you in a lane one-on-one.
And proved exactly that, as you can see on our scoreboard. It was a fading misery for Digital Chaos in this particular game. Conrad, you picked out one particular replay. It's happened around about 17 minutes. Tell us why.
It was a crucial part of the game for sure. I mean, it was the one where Sam H got initiated on. I mean, DC's like losing. And this was the first kill they had in a very long time. The second of their total kills, if I'm not mistaken, in the entire game.
Yep.
But even still, TNC was able to clean up and get a bunch of kills on the retreat. It's just very crucial. And in the meantime, TA slapping racks, if you haven't noticed on the minimap. And that was the point where I'm like, the game is over. If you lose a little engagement like that after using Global Silence, and you lose your Tier 3 pre-20 minutes, it means your Shrines are gone. And if your Shrines are gone pre-20 minutes, it's over. Your map control is gone. You can't defend against Roche as well. It was kind of just the beginning of the end right there. So it's basically the crucial team fight after all the good laning stage stuff.
I feel kind of mean, even asking you for an MVP in this game. But TNC did play well. I pointed that out towards the end of the game, and they did play well. They did exactly what they needed to do. So let's pick a TNC player.
I don't know. It's
I think it was Cuckoo for me. Yeah, like it just Abed felt so shut down this game, and like Theban was saying, you know, it is a good matchup, but every aspect about it just felt like Abed was shut down. You know, they took him out multiple times, and Cuckoo just played a solid Templar Assassin. I think, you know, really was able to get the traps in the jungle and keep track of what was going on.
Good game to have for a TA though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Definitely.
well, as a mid player, when you have a good matchup like an Alchemist, you need to think about how you can progress your team in the game.
Yeah.
What Cuckoo did was once he understood this Alchemist cannot lane against him anymore, he asked the Monkey King to come, maybe follow him in the jungle so he can jungle, or help him kill him behind the tower and take his tower after that. Like at 9 minutes, the mid tower is already dead. It's so hard to try and jungle and catch up if your mid tower is gone and the enemy can constantly collapse in there.
I felt like Cuckoo was always on camera that whole game. He was in every single fight. He was pressuring Alchemist. He was in every single gank. Even the one time that he walked into the Radiant jungle after they got the tier 1 and he just killed that regular Centaur camp. At first I was like, why is he bothering with that? But if you think about it, if you kill it at the right time, that's like 2 minutes that the Alchemist can't farm the safest jungle camp in the whole jungle. Just little things like that just made it so difficult for Abed to actually catch up.
Right.
Yeah, so let's take a deeper look at the mid matchup between these two men, Cuckoo and Abed. Abed has had a very good tournament so far. We should point that out. He's just blown teams away in some cases. I don't remember the early rounds of yesterday. People were raving about him, saying what a great player he was. How do these two stack up for you?
Well, Abed, the whole team plays around him, whereas Cuckoo is like the captain, right? He will make his whole team go somewhere with him. So what that means is when you play around him, you're trying to make space for this guy. You're trying to play away from him. So or you play to him if the hero requires. For example, Shadow Fiend, we saw him play earlier. They were constantly going around and protecting him. Whatnot. Cuckoo will make his whole team group up somewhere, and so it's a very different kind of playstyle. And we can see from the signature heroes as well, right? Like Invoker, Meepo, Ember, these heroes play on their own and then they join the fight whenever they choose to. Whereas Cuckoo, he has Shadow Fiend and Juggernaut, where it's like team-oriented mid laners, where they go together to some tower and they try to kill them. And even his Invoker is like that as well. He would go 4-spear builds or whatever and just go with his team, try to take some towers.
Yeah. I also feel like the heroes you pick, Abed, are really important. Like he just looked like your average top mid player that game on Alchemist. But on the Shadow Fiend game, it was night and day. You can see the flare that he uses, the 9k MMR kind of thing, like using that super high skill to make amazing plays happen that their opponents don't expect. Whereas Alk, it's just really straightforward. Maybe even helps Cuckoo captain the game better because he knows what to expect. There's just Alk, cast acid spray, hits creeps.
Yeah, so I talked about this before the game started, right? It's just not DC style. They want this mid-tempo hero that can join fights whenever they want, and they don't want to think about him at all. If you pick Alchemist, you sort of have to think about how you can apply pressure on the side lanes and give this guy free farm, but he still doesn't give back to you fast enough. And then on top of that, they picked him into a losing matchup. This is not a way that DC want to play at all. They don't want to be locked down with their supports, helping Avenge and then thinking about an Alchemist, and then maybe this Legion commander who needs to win his lane is not winning his lane. Now you're just confused everywhere. It's not just about like one Alk, but it's like about how all 5 of your heroes work together.
Okay, Conrad, you mentioned earlier on at the top of the program when we came on for this fourth and final series that they do play around Abed, and it does feel a little bit like perhaps the Miracle days in OG. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we felt that this game so much.
Yeah, because that's what I meant. This was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I said, they tend to pick heroes from that, either he's going to be able to stand alone and get a lot more damage, or he's going to be able to farm up to something big. So like some of those Medusa games that we've seen on that he's been playing this tournament. But what comes to mind is always his Storm Spirit or a TA, a Templar Assassin, and Invoker. So I don't know. Maybe this game was just a little bit off of those guys. I think Demon getting his Warlock band out was actually kind of a big factor. They really feel comfortable on that hero, and it gives them that extra team fight, where I don't know if I felt like they had that team fight advantage coming into this game.
It's going to be different for sure as we head into Game 3, which we are headed towards, of course. But before we get there, let's grab us another social media question, as many as we can get in before the end of the program. We do only have one game left as well. Would an additional 4th lane drastically change the game?
That's just one more lane of creeps.
Yeah.
Of course,
no.
yeah. It
Right,
mean-
move
of course
on.
it would. I'm
We
sure.
talked about like 6th hero, now
We
about
have,
4th
yeah.
lanes.
Yeah, we
like,
talked about 7 slots as well. We
Yeah,
talked
well-
about that the other day.
I mean, you know what? I'm all for it, okay? That's one more person trying to jungle or like one more person whining about having a solo lane. Let's go for it, you know? You got-
One more feeder for the team.
Right, you know, we can remove supports altogether. We can just
Right.
have 4 lanes and 1 guy in the jungle.
I thought we were having 3 supports with the new 6 players.
No.
There's-
Let's do 4 lanes
Okay.
and 5 heroes.
Oh, really?
Right.
Okay.
No,
more
no 6
space.
heroes. Yeah.
More space.
Which means a bigger map, which means it takes longer to walk across the map. I
Yeah.
feel like there's already a 4th lane. There's 2 jungles on each side. Like,
No, you
there's
know
so
what?
much
We'll
space now.
solve the walking around the map problem. Okay, we'll make TPs cooldown 20 seconds.
Why don't we just use the portals that we
That's
talked about
enough.
last segment?
Oh yeah, let's add portals,
Portals.
instead. Yep, add portals to
Why-
the 2 side lanes.
Why don't we just make 5 lanes and then everybody can play their 1v1s and then GG gets called at 10 minutes, whoever has the most CS. How about that? Why don't we just play that? instead?
I did. Someone, I don't know who it was earlier, but we were joking around. How would you solve this 60-plus minute games? And they said you just shrink the map every minute. It just gets smaller until
Yeah,
it gets
like Crumbling
Yeah.
Island.
yeah, until it gets to the Roshan pit, and they all have to fight to the death, and the last one standing win.
Yeah.
Sounds
And
good.
you can't respawn. Let's
And
not
you
forget it. You can't respawn.
respawn either. Yeah, plenty of fun ideas out there. Let's take one more social media question as we head towards our final draft. Is TNC the surprise team of the tournament so far? This is a great question. They've got to be one of them, surely.
I would say it's a surprise, but I don't think it's a huge surprise.
Yeah.
I would say it's like a slightly unpredictable upset, but it's their team that had a great run at TI. A lot of the same players. They looked okay before that, in my opinion. I wouldn't really say maybe DC is the team that seems most surprised to me personally, because it's like another Bulba team that like a Bulba tier 2 kind of team that everybody expects to do badly, but they're doing really well. Good potential of being first seed. I think they're more surprising than TNC basically. I don't know about what you guys think. Maybe if like SG was doing well, I'd be like, oh, definitely, that's the team. But
I think I was very surprised coming into this tournament. I had them rated actually pretty low, bottom 4 for sure. But seeing them, perform through this group stage, especially against teams like EG and Thunderbirds, I've just been nothing but impressed. And they did lose pretty handily to VP, but VP is also one of those surprises coming to this tournament. I think TNC has a lot of potential, and I'm glad to see this team kind of come together and show up like this.
Well, for me, it's more to do with how the tournament played out, right? There are some teams that didn't expect their scores to be that way, but as for surprises, I would go with Secret for sure. Number 1, like they got
yeah, that's true. Actually.
top 1-1
Yeah.
seed, so that's for sure. Like think about Digital Chaos and TNC. They're a team I've been watching for a while, and I love both of these teams. I think they're absolutely amazing. So for me, it's not really much of a surprise that they showed up for this tournament. But the real test will still come at the main event.
Yeah.
So, and right now it's just, I don't want to say it's just groups, but it matters. But we'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it
So-
just doesn't matter the most.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of good teams that are 2-2 right now that could end up playing against, better teams.
Yeah, well, they'll end up playing each other, those 2-2s, won't they?
Yeah.
Because there'll be 6 of them.
Are
So
we allowed to
there'll be
talk about spoilers? some
Uh,
team on here
as
that was
long as we
surprised
can warn people on the stream, I guess. If you are
There's
wanting to grab the VODs afterwards, then do mute us for 30 seconds whilst we talk about the other games that are going on.
there's
and
so
then
many
you
interesting
can talk about
matchup
it.
potential things. Like there's so much that can change based on the seeding and where the teams end up, and if you win round 1, all of a sudden you're against EG maybe. Like there's a lot of scary stuff like that could happen.
Yeah,
Never know.
lots of teams in the middle
Yeah.
mix in that 2-2 area, which was always going to be the case anyway. But when you get one team that maybe doesn't perform quite as well, maybe an EG, for instance, and they're in there, just makes it that much harder.
Yeah, one of these teams that loses here could end up playing EG first round. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, and to think TNC yesterday were 2-0.
Doesn't always stay the same.
No.
Does for Secret though. They're good.
They're really
Yes.
6-0.
Yes. Yeah, 6-0 overall, 3-0 in the series, top seed in the whole of the tournament. As you said, a little bit surprising for many as well. I think a few of us had them as their dark horse,
So
but not necessarily outright
Right,
winners.
and it's guaranteed that they're going to be playing SG,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
They are seed 1 and seed 16.
They're the only team that hasn't lost a game actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone else lost.
And VP were close. They only lost a
Only
single
lost one
game
game.
to Team Random.
Yep.
Team Random.
Yeah. And
was
Team
after-
Random, TI winners, like, it's...
Yeah. Team Random actually, weirdly, they've been quite feisty in the sense that they've gone one game down in almost every series they've played, and then had to come back and win 2 in a row, and have done that a couple of times already to stay in contention.
Yeah.
They didn't against VP, obviously, but they did pull one back after the going down.
Right.
I think they lost in 20 minutes and then had to win the second game and did. So they're showing some resilience, if nothing else. I know their results haven't been necessarily particularly good coming into this, but they're putting up a fight.
And I'm kind of surprised that we haven't really seen them on the main stage here, or like the main stream here. But they've been picking some really weird, unorthodox heroes as well. Like we've seen Liches, and we've seen Shadow play mid lane. Like this is some
Definitely